Today we're going to talk about success strategies when using Specode. You're probably watching this video because you've already started working on a project with Specode. If not, you'll find related videos to get started in the description. So one of the first things that I like to suggest always when someone runs into an error or is testing on code that they work iteratively, and I've emphasized this in previous videos, but I want to emphasize this more so now, especially when you're working on testing new features. So for example, let's log into an account here. And as soon as we log in, we see that we get this error, failed to store auth token in database. Now, I've sent this generic message in the chat to fix the chat error, and it gave me a bunch of questions. So this is what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be very generic when sending prompts to the AI coder to help you fix certain problems if you're experiencing issues while you're adding new features. So part of being successful on Specode means being specific. And while you're being specific, you're also being incremental in the way that you approach creating new features or testing new features. So for example, let's say we want to create a new feature on the admin dashboard for some charts. We don't want to ask the AI coder to immediately create a bunch of charts all at once. We want to start one by one. So first, let's say, let's work on this error first. I'm going to copy it, and I've done in other videos. This is the error. I see, and paste it, and let's see what it does. So it looks like the error is going away. I don't see it anymore here. So now we're gonna see, once this is done, I want to work on adding those charts that I mentioned. So let's say that I'm gonna be as specific as possible. On the admin dashboard, create a simple pie chart displaying the total patients, total providers, and total appointment. Let's do a bar chart. Now this is going to be a new feature. What else we want to add? Total appointment, total orders, and total resources. So let's wait for this to finish sending its previous response, and then we're going to send this new ask. See how we're going to test this new feature. Okay, so the AI coder is done. I'm going to send this now. And while it's working on that, let's read what the fix was. So the authentication storage issue problem was that the API code was trying to use camel case field names in querying, but the actual columns use snake case. So it's saying that the columns in the database are using a specific case by snake case as in lowercase letters. So let's actually go and verify this in the database so I can show you how you can verify things that the AI coder is telling you about the database visually. So let's open our database and let's go to, let's see, the authentication. So go here to authentication. And it says that the actual database columns use snake case. So this doesn't seem like the right one. Add a table editor and view the tables here. And user roles. Okay, so this is the right one. So let's say that we made a change to something that wasn't authentication. Like let's say we created a new product. We want to test that the product is working in the database. We can see here on our database, this is the formatting that our data is taking. So we store each product with one ID. We also store them with a category ID, a name, description, and so on. This is how you want to format your data when you're adding a new product. So you can insert one here manually and give it some ID. And let's say you don't know the category, you just give it a random category. And you give it a name, some test product. But this isn't exactly like, isn't exactly efficient. So if we go to the products page, let's ignore our new change for now. And we have this add product here. We can create the product and enter the information in a much nicer format. And we can see that it corresponds to the columns in the database. So this is how you can go and verify that you're correctly inserted or maybe even removed. So let's say I want to remove this advanced probiotic medication or product. I'm going to delete the product here. And it says the product has been deleted successfully. And we can verify this by going back to the products table, refreshing the page, and it's gone. So this is how you want to approach any changes that you're making on the front end or UI facing side that will have an impact on the back end or the database. So you always want to make sure that you're doing things slowly and iteratively, one by one. You're checking as you go. Like, let's say I wanted to delete many products. I'll delete all those products and then I'll check that they've all been deleted before creating new ones. Things like that. Now, going back to the change that we made, I can see that the chart is here and it looks pretty nice. But let's say I don't like this gray background in the back. So let's remove it. So remove the gray on hover highlight. And we can see that the orders and resources don't have any values yet. Just correct from here. And this one has 6, 3, and 7. So one thing I'm going to do to test this chart that it's actually working is by creating a new patient. And I should see that this chart updates from 7 to 8. Do that now. Actually, going to wait for this to complete. Highlight it's removed, but I don't see it's removed. Let's refresh and see if that helped. Okay, that didn't work. I'm going to refresh the page now. And the gray highlight is still, let's see. I still see a gray background when I hover in the chart. You remove this. And this is why it's important to test as you go, because if you were going to do like I did and move on immediately to creating the new patient part of this chart functionality, then you would have lost the fact that it didn't actually fix the gray highlight. And this is something that is small right now. It might seem like a small kind of thing to look over. But when you're making big changes on things, more important than just a simple chart, you want to be careful about how you approach your testing strategy. And all of this is a good part of being successful. Not only Specode, but AI coding in general. Great, so now it's actually done. That's perfect. So that's exactly what I wanted. I don't see the gray highlight anymore. So we can confirm that the change that I requested is done. Now, we want to check that the chart is working as our last feature. Say I delete this patient here. Great, and I should see the number go from 7 to 6. But it didn't. So let's refresh one more time. Let's say I just deactivated a patient, but the chart didn't update. Please ensure all columns chart when changes are made. Their respective. Okay, so it says that done. Created a dashboard event system to coordinate updates. When you deactivate a patient or provider, the bar chart will automatically update. Let's see. About 7, so let's go through and I think that one's already considered deactivated. So let's try that. I believe that because we deactivated the patient before we added the functionality to update the board, I'm going to okay, so I see that we have 5 active and 2 inactive. Let's mention it. On the patient table, there are 5 active. Instead of showing all patients on the chart, let's do this. Only show active. Okay, now let's see if that worked. Great, so it looked like that was the trick. Able to update the chart now, so we only see the active. Let's see what's going on with providers. I don't think it was at 0. 3 inactive provider. Okay, so because we've updated the patients to only show as active or inactive, the same has been for providers as well. So let's test one last thing, make sure that we can view active providers. So this is a test provider. Okay. And let's go to the dashboard. First view the providers. So I created a test provider, but it's not the there's copy the route here to be a specific. And let's see why that's not. And again, I'm testing as we go. So this is a very simple example, but I hope that you can apply this to all levels of complexity. Always want to go. I can't emphasize this enough. Go little by little, test as you go, because things like these little errors can stack up if you're not testing as you go, and then you end up with a broken feature. In order to really make the most out of your Specode AI project, you want to make sure that you're being as efficient as possible. Not only your credits, because you're paying for those credits, but also with your time. Okay, so now I don't see any providers. So it seems like the AI coder kind of took a step back from what I was asking it to do by checking the database. So let's check our database and see if the provider was actually created that I just made. I'm just going to take a step back and let you just watch what I do to resolve this error. And in the end, you'll see that I had to go through quite a bit of back and forth testing just to make sure that the chart that I wanted to initially add was working correctly. And so I just want to emphasize that success in Specode doesn't necessarily mean one-shotting your prompt. You're never going to get exactly what you want in one prompt, exactly, no matter how big or small your prompt is. Always want to test as you go and test not only what you've created on the front end, but also the back end if that's something that you're modifying or updating or creating.